Jordan here, and thank you in advance for watching this. What we're about to go into are a series of artist talks as part of a series that we had launched as our form of participation for the Fall of Freedom initiative. JTR Presents is a contemporary art museum that offers design services that helps the creative community, helps the community in general, and we seek to positively impact our community and environment through art, tech, and design. So, in relation to this initiative, Fall of Freedom, it started off with 16 artists that did a call to action about 6 weeks ago. And the call was for anybody in the arts to do something, be it in their programming, a project, something for the 22nd and 21st of November of this year as a way for us as a creative community to push back and call out the current administration and their actions against creative institutions relating to censorship, justice, community truth, and freedom of expression. This is our community's way of saying that we will not be silenced, we will not be censored. We will still continue to fight for justice for all. We'll still continue to fight for freedom for all. And we stand by our communities, especially those that are marginalized. In addition to that, we exercise our freedom of expression. We exercise our First Amendment rights in really pushing back and holding our government accountable. And so with that said, we will be moving on, and I present to you the following artists. All right, Myles Brown, truly a pleasure to have you. Again, thank you for your time in advance, and thank you for joining me in on this. As mentioned before, this is an artist talk. We want to get to know more about you and have this conversation around censorship, injustice, community, truth, and freedom of expression as part of the Fall for Freedom initiative. So yeah, thanks. Thanks for being here.
Thank
How
you.
Of course. And I think getting right into it, you know, I've seen your work and I've had the pleasure of collecting some of it. And I would like to learn more because we met at the Black Futurists exhibition back in I think in like 2022 and or 2023. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about your work. We've talked briefly about it, but I want to say what informs your work?
Um, it really was mythology, like Zeus and Poseidon. Like I love mythology. I could tell you about Thor all day. Thor's my favorite because like he's a rebellious one. Like he's like one of the good guys, but he's very rebellious. Like he had to earn his power back, but you can tell he's a little arrogant, and I kind of get the vibe. I like that. He's like a Viking. He will fight his way rather than think his way. I'm kind of like that to an extent. I mostly do animals because they fight for survival, and we fight, I guess, for pleasure. Now at this point, I guess we used to fight for
Right.
survival, but yeah, we fight over pleasure at this point. Like we're kind of more aggressive towards everything now. It's kind of wild, so I put that into my work. Like I notice I'm a little more aggressive, but like I'm still a nice person. Um, I do kind of seem like more assertive in the sense that if I want something, I will go after it. And if I want to say something, I will say it the way I feel like it. I feel like the rest of the world is kind of on that moment too, where if I want to say it, I'm gonna say it how I say it, and then not think twice about it. Which is
Absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's part of at least in this society, that's part of one of our founding sort of pillars is the freedom of expression. So yeah, it would make sense for you to say how you say it, the way you want to say it.
Um, I also think that the way I do animals, like I used to just do like the face. Now I'm like really concentrating on doing like a roaring animal or one with headphones. I did like a picture of a cougar. It's my favorite. It's called Pharaoh. as like a roaring mountain lion.
Yeah.
He's angry at the world. It's not really about. It's not really from politics or mythology, but because it's American and like mountain lions are like this rare thing. They're like lions of North America. They're supposed to like symbolize pride without a group. You kind of think Americans are like that now because they're like prideful without a group. When we used to be prideful within a group, like now we have like corrupt presidents, corrupt politicians, and like Democrats and Republicans. In my opinion, I feel like are both corrupt. It's hard for me to be like, let's pull from this side and let's pull from that side and then make something out of it when they both did the wrong. And I don't think the majority of people can really see that. I think there's like a one side or the other side. Um,
Right.
and that's why I partially use animals more than I do humans because it's like you see one side, you see the other side, but it's all about pleasure. But like with animals, it's like the same thing with like survival tactics.
That's an interesting juxtaposition there, because my next question was related to like community, like in your experience, what is community and how do we build and maintain it? And that might be interesting to kind of have that conversation with those parallels, this parallel between pleasure and survival. Do you see that when we talk about community? What's your take on that?
So I went to an event in September. No, not September. Around September or August. It was at Birdland with Vay Riley. They were just getting back together and they have hosted like a community event about like what they wanted to do, how they want to support Raleigh because like Raleigh at this time, well still now has lost a lot of art venues. 311's gone. House of Raleigh was burnt. Um, but like a white I think it was a Caucasian lady. It was burnt.
Yikes.
And now they're like rebuilding it. And then Gallery C closed. Um no,
Isn't
not
Cam
Gallery C.
Raleigh? Isn't
No,
Cam
not
Raleigh also closing?
no, not Gallery C. Um it was a gallery next to Art Space. They were right next to each other. It
Mm,
was next to Blackbird Coffee, and that closed. And I used to go there quite a bit. I think Gallery C is still open, but that's more like every time I go in there, it's like more of like a house, and I love that gallery. It's one of my favorites because it looks more like a house. Like I will live in the gallery rather than actually
right,
just visit and like leave. I will live in that gallery, but a lot of Raleigh art galleries have like closed like at the beginning of 2025. Like as much as we built up, it went back down to a little bit. So rather than me go back to Raleigh, well, rather than me like continue to vend in Raleigh and stay there, like I went back to like going to like Greensboro and Charlotte. I just like the vibe because I feel like vibes are everything. And I don't think people talk about vibes enough. Like the vibes in like Raleigh and Greensboro have like really changed. Like I love Greensboro. Like I go there every day like a getaway now. Not like every day, but you kind of get what I mean. But like Raleigh is kind of
yeah.
completely different because how much can change.
Yeah, I'm noticing. I'm noticing. I'm just now because a lot of my relationships is in Greensboro, and so living in Raleigh, though, it's like I'm finally now starting to pay attention to the arts, and I can already tell there's difference. And to your point, like, yeah, there's definitely a different vibe. But kind of going back to that idea of community, like you say, folks don't focus on vibes enough. Can you expand a little more? That's pretty interesting.
So I work 3 jobs. One is like art focused. The other two is like, well, all three are education now, but one is art focused. The other one is out of college. Um, I like to stay quiet. Like for me, I keep to me. I think the vibes are really focused on like profession first, and then like getting to figure out who you're with second, which I support. Honestly, I support. Like do your job before you play. But I feel like we're in such a stressful state of mind where we don't get to like get to know like the people anymore. Like I just like today I just said goodbye to a coworker who was retiring. She just like retired this week. Like the vibe was kind of like off because like I didn't go to like the retirement party, and like it's like an afterthought to me when like usually like 2 years ago I'd be like, oh yeah, let's think about like these things for like the retirement party. Like that's like an afterthought to me, and I feel like that's an afterthought to a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like you see something like a goodbye, like someone died, like some guy from Star Wars died, or some guy from like Marvel who played like a Marvel character for like years died. the vibe's not really there, and you forget about it because of how much stress that's on your mind, just because of the economy and just because of like the campaign, like the presidential campaign, and then you have to remember like, oh yeah, in 2 years you have to like go back and vote. Like I don't think people talk about it enough how stressful it is now. And I think that's why art is currently, to me, so important because I can talk about it there. I don't have to go like on the news and then like worry about having a debate about it. I don't have to like, stress out about like what other people think about my opinion about somebody. I can just go on a canvas and then like paint it there or draw it there or like sketch it out and have my piece with it and have people interpret it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
No, okay, that's brilliant. So it's like, and I think that resonates a little bit with kind of how I viewed art. One of the reasons why I wanted to have start my career in the arts. It's like, to me, art was one of the few things that allowed me to connect with people no matter how different we were. Like, we could
Mhm.
both look at an art piece side by side and kind of talk about it, share our thoughts, our feelings, and in a way, in a sort of indirect way, kind of connect and get to know each other in that sort of dynamic.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's a little bit of the magic you're describing when you're talking about with your artwork. You're putting in your thought, your feeling, your expressions, and
Yeah.
then that piece itself is something that then people get to look and connect through indirectly. I think about this as way like to me, I fantasize and not fantasize, I envision the arts really helping community build connections with itself
Yeah.
in this through this way by like holding space for those conversations and facilitating the conversation through the artwork itself. I don't know if you hold a similar vision to that, do you?
I feel like I'm a wild card. I feel like more like the more I make art, the more I turn into an animal. Um, because I feel like
Interesting. How so?
I'm not going off like the vibe of like pleasure anymore. I'm going off the vibe. I'm like, this is how I feel at the moment. I'm not controlling it. I'm feeling it. And animals do that. I don't think animals are really aware of like feeling in terms of like how they inflict on others. And that's not like a form of like malice or anything. That's just survival. They need to do that. And I kind of feel like I'm a little bit there. I care. I'm empathetic. Don't worry. I'm not, uncontrollable. But like I feel like the rest of the world is kind of on that point. I'm doing what I need to do. And if I'm aware, I'm aware, and it is what it is. I'll worry about that later. And I feel like instead of like trying to make the same faces again, that's why I'm using like the expressions of like going to like the galaxies, going to like these like this monkey like having his fist up in the air like he's about to smash a banana or something, or about like this goat who's about to take a hammer and like someone lightning out of it. That's how I feel. I just feel like that. I feel like animals have emotions too, but they do it out of survival. And they don't go like overboard with it. Where I feel like humans are like they're so overboard with it. I feel like it's not even overboard for survival anymore. It's like a mixture of survival and then all of a sudden another mix of pleasure. Like, haha, I survived and I watched you fail trying to make sure I didn't survive. I beat you at your own game, and they will laugh at you about it.
No, that's very interesting. I think about so you're kind of going from a very you're going it sounds like you're going to it through a very primal direction about it, right? And there's a sort
Yeah,
of it sounds like there's a like this level of catharsis. And this to me, that my mind goes back to like again, art facilitating that, a space for that to kind of interact. I can see people sort of engaging with that for themselves and with each other. I think about this makes me think about resistance. So one of the questions I have is like, what does resistance look like to you in our creative industry and in your creative practice? I feel like
mm,
you're giving hints about it, and I kind of want to dive deeper.
getting rid of old habits. Like, there's an artist I used to listen to, Drake. Huge. He's my favorite from like 13 to like 22. And then
Fair
like
enough.
he sues over like a track because he lost a beef, like a rap beef. Like rap is built off of not like artistic expression and freedom. And I grew up on that. Like I grew up on like I'm like not like Tupac or like Dr. Dre. I grew up on like 2010s hip hop, like Drake and Kendrick and Tyler. And we grew up on that time where like we didn't have to like be
Tyler as in Tyler the Creator.
yes.
Oh,
Our
sweet.
future. Yes. Like It was like, to be fair, like it was to a point where like that's all I would listen to. Like, yeah, like I was 15. I had a friend show me Tyler Creator. I'm like, I'm on him like that. And it wasn't really about um being a thug or being a gangster, or, like talking against the police. Like it was a point where like you can like have free speech just by just being yourself. Like that was revolutionary to me. And then you see someone like him, like Drake, that big, talk about it and sue over a song like that. Like I feel like now we're like in a stage where like this is like the moment where like entertainment is really being challenged. Like Jimmy Kimmel like temporarily losing a show over what he said, or Drake suing and then appealing after he lost because he deserved to, after you know challenging like people's expressions and opinions. Like that's important to me. So automatically at this point, I feel like no matter what I say is important, because I feel like I'm giving other people, well, I'm giving myself the freedom to be me, but I'm also showing other people, hey, you can do it too. Even though a lot of people already know, like I'm not the special savior. Like I'm not a savior. I'm just doing it for me, and I'm making like art that resonates with me and my family and my friends. But I feel like a lot of people are like really scared. Like a lot of bigger people, a lot of smaller people are really afraid because they'll eventually get to a point where they will be challenged for it, you know? And I think
Yeah.
resistance is breaking from old habits and changing what your practice is, and then changing why you practice the way you do it. Like I used to do like mythology to the brim. Like I wanted to draw Zeus like a king. Now I don't believe I don't really care for kings because like we have a king in office instead of a president. So instead I do like these pharaoh animals because I feel like I'm breaking away from the system.
No, that's beautifully put. And there's a few things I kind of want to digest because you brought up some really good points. Like just even in hip hop, right? I grew up a little bit older. I have older brothers that got me into like Wu-Tang Clan, Outkast, yeah, even like Aaliyah and TLC a little bit.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm a 90s baby. And
Respect it.
so,
Respect it.
yeah, thank you. But like, I grew up falling in love with hip hop in that generation, thanks to my brothers. So by the time the 2010s came out and I was in middle and high school, and I would be defending hip hop and rap to my non-culturally inclined peers that would want to critique and talk down on the genre. And I later, I don't remember where I got this info, but I later came to an understanding that at least the stereotypes of hip hop, when people talk about like, oh, it's about glorifying wealth and glorifying objectifying women, it's like, well, that's only the songs that like the record companies force their artists to sing about because they say that's what will make them money, which we all know is crap. And so, like, because I think about Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, sure, there's some songs that like fit the stereotype, but then he also sneaks in some of what he actually wants to say in some of his work. Or I think about Fonte from Little Brother. Like a lot of his work is still poetry to me. But
Cardi
yeah,
3
there's
is
like,
beautiful.
I'm sorry.
Cardi 3 is beautiful. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just blurted out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you talked about Tyler, the Creator. Like, I feel like Tyler, the Creator does the same thing too. Like, in some of his songs, it's some wild stuff, but I also feel like he pushes back a little bit and
Mm.
like puts in what he actually wants to rap about. I still think about, oh gosh, I think it's called Slate or Slater. It's him rapping about his grandmother, like him going to the hospital to see his grandmother before she passes. It's like the last song in one of his albums. It's the same album that has Tamala. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But to what you're saying about like this primal, and what I like about Tyler the Creator is like this sort of primal. I feel like he taps into something primal, but also taps into something real, and he tucks that into his songs. And
Yeah.
so I often, all that said to say, I often wonder about like in the music industry how artists are like influenced to sort of filter what they have to say in order to make more
Yeah.
money. And I think that is kind of the same phenomenon that's happening throughout all of the creative industries in some way, shape, or form. And so I like your sort of return to like just this sort of animalistic expression. or just embracing this sort of spontaneity, it sounds like. To me, it sounds like that's a way, like what you said, getting rid of old habits is your way of like resistance for your creative practice. And maybe in our creative industries, we can do the same by just really making more space for that spontaneity. Would you agree?
Yeah. I also think we're in a age of just we're just revolting against it. Like I see like us 10 years from now, like we're not gonna idolize no one no more. Like I'm 26, so I kind of see things for what they really are. I don't really try to like go and observe more than what I need to. I guess is what people are really trying to like do. And I think people are trying to teach that to their kids too. So like their kids won't be like trying to give like people who don't need second chances, like second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth chances. I feel like it's becoming like a real thing. Because we're seeing like what happens when we give someone a second chance. They sometimes could become worse. I I try to become optimist. I'm trying to be optimistic and give you like second, third, or fourth. That's me. Like I forgive. I believe in forgiveness. I believe in giving people chances. I believe in redemption arcs. I believe in that. I believe in just redemption lives. I guess I believe in all that. But I feel like we're in the age and I'm like starting to turn the other way in some way, like heel turn. I guess that like you have to see that you got to see things for what they really are. And I think you see a lot of people um for me, I feel like observe only what they need to. Like I don't like look deep into things anymore. Like if I feel like if I look too deep into it, then I obsess over it. And I feel like a lot of people obsess over it. And it's why
That's
like when I
fair.
look at a piece and when like I do a piece now, I don't like some I sometimes like obsess over it. So like I just I stop making that piece and then move on to another one and then move on back to that piece once I'm done with another piece. Like it gives me a mental break. Like I don't feel like I'm losing my mind trying to make a piece. And that's a dangerous thing. Like I used to like when I was a kid, I used to be like, why can't artists like do this all the time, full time? And then I was doing art like mostly for a long time full time. Like I kind of do that now. And I was like, I'm kind of obsessing over it. I like having a second job. Like I like that. Like I think sometimes people need that mental clarity. And I feel like now, like this um, decade, well, not decade, this era, this like 24 through 2024 to 2028 era, is really showing people like the mental clarity. What happens when you give too many people second chances? I mean, we have a guy at the top who himself, he is a second chance in my book, as well as like a lot of other like people like celebrities who like don't speak for us, but they want us to speak for them. It's like it's a big thing for me. I don't know, like we're fighting more for equal rights, and I'm kind of here for. I'm really here for it.
Yeah, speaking of fighting for equal rights, how do you, aside from protesting and donations, how do you think we artists and designers and creatives can better participate in these social changes?
Workshops. I love workshops. I love workshops. Um, Workshops and conferences. I think one thing that really works. I went to like a exhibit with a friend. He was hosting a show. He was talking about like black art and African American art with him, his brother, and then his father. It was a group show. It was at NC State, and I remember too because I bought two of his prints. One of them was an African American baby with like the continent of Africa on his head. Um,
Oh, neat.
and then I remember in Greensboro, I visited Greensboro. I did an artist talk, and then we talked about Hispanic art chronicles the heroes. And we talked about like Latino art and how we see um, Latins, Latin people and Hispanic people as heroes. And one of my pieces I did was Frida Kahlo. And my thing is,
Oh, nice. Okay.
it's it's the one with like the Frida Kahlo and then like the two monkeys on the side. I'm like a monkey boy. Um, Support
Okay.
for Luffy all the way. But I feel like I think taking what you learned from like one side of history and not like taking it like stealing it or like culture appropriating it. I mean like taking it and then doing your research and learning from it, and then making something of it, and then teaching the youth about it. That's one way. Like I feel like that's like the best way to do it. Like for me, I probably would have never found a half the things to know about if it wasn't from something like from like a friend or like something from like college. Because I didn't really, like, I feel like my high school experience wasn't really like a high school experience. Even though I went to art school, I didn't feel like it was like a real experience. Because I feel like even though this is like a different school, made to be a different school for everybody else, what we learned kind of wasn't. You know what I mean? Like what I learned was
I'm
kind of something
intrigued.
I had to learn from like friends, like digital art, like how to make this and how to make that. Like I learned graphic design in college, like Photoshop, Adobe Fresco. I learned that all throughout college. I wish I learned that through like high school, like my arts high school. It's an arts high school.
I
I
see.
wish we learned about Photoshop and then like InDesign and all that stuff. That would like open my eyes into it, and I feel like I wouldn't have like so many like identity crises throughout college. You know what I mean? Something like
I
that.
think so, yeah.
And I feel like I think because things are really expensive now, I also think like student-led workshops that be for free. I don't know if that'll work for everybody. That be for free would be really cool. My college also has like a magazine titled The Wake Review, and I used to be a part of it back in the day. They would do book giveaways. That's really cool. Like that's really sick. Like so, I think like an art giveaway would be cool for people who want to give away art. I'm not blaming you if you don't, but I feel like you're just educating people on what's really out there. You know what I mean?
I think I get it. Yeah. So, like these workshops, art events, giveaways, these creative experiences that people can take away something tangible with them that carries the messages that we're trying to communicate is what I'm understanding, right?
Yeah. Um.
Brilliant.
Also, one more
Br-
thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vay Raleigh. Um. I think like the thing where like they're doing like the meetups with like all the other artists and entrepreneurs is really cool. Um.
What are they called again?
Vay Raleigh is like an organization. I think Pete Sack and Jean Grey Moss run it now. They're like they like
Wait, Vayral, are you talking about VAE?
yes,
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I heard about them coming back online. I'm really excited about that.
they're so cool. I went to one of their events in like Berlin. That's what I was talking about. Sick. Like we all like came over like different ideas. It was a sick night. Um all like we went through like we were like paired into groups based on like color, I believe. And like we went around like all around the tables and we like wrote down like a list or like what we thought would like make Raleigh a better place for the arts. It was so sick.
Yeah, that's really awesome, actually. No, I think that rolls into kind of my next question about like, how do we envision, how do we amplify the role of art and design in the fight for freedom and changes that we seek to make? It sounds like VA or they is also doing that.
Very cool. I think having more art galleries be more um inclusive, letting people in just off on whim is cool. Like collab Raleigh is dope. I think excuse me. I think
Bless you.
thank you. I think having mutual aid funds hosted by art galleries is really cool. I actually
That's a really good idea, actually.
I actually have like old prints there that I don't sell anymore. I just donated to them. They have them for sale at Collab Raleigh for the mutual aid fund. I recommend everyone does it. Um, I think you can just sell them for how much ever you want. Um, I kind of feel like there's like a lot of homelessness growing in Raleigh right now. Like I
It
used
is
to
growing
like
all over the country.
all the country, but I know it's all
Yeah.
over Raleigh. Um, it's weird. It's very
I've been
weird because when I was
I've been seeing growth in Charlotte, Greensboro, and Raleigh. It's kind of scary.
I know, right? Like I used to in like 2023, 2024, 2025 when I started, well, no, 2023, 2024, started working out of college, did all that. I rarely saw like a homeless person. Now I see like a homeless person like every like 5, 10 blocks. That's like in my hometown. That's kind of devastating to me. Um, and I feel like a lot of mutual aid funds would work because there's like a lot of people who think that posting on the internet will be the way. It is a way. It's a great way, but then it's one. I don't think everyone's proud to admit that they're homeless. So you got to be empathetic on that part. And then two, there's a lot of false information on the internet. Like I don't really
That
like
is
that's
fair. Yeah,
yeah
that's a very fair observation. I mean, through any media, even word of mouth to some degree.
yeah. Word of mouth is kind of crazy too. Like I don't know. Um, I used to like really when I was like 16, 17. I think that's when Trump was becoming president for the first time. I also like really just not like the news because like how much conflict Trump would get into with the news. So I kind of feel like it was just like media drama more than the actual news. Because I believe that was like the time where like people started really giving their opinions, like news anchors, like journalists, instead of like just reporting the news and letting it just be the news. People started
Right.
giving their opinions. Like,
Well, even how you talk about the news, like it's a way to kind of slip in some misinformation, or the way you interpret it is another way to influence a group. Yeah, to your point, like that. Yeah, it gets wild. It gets wild. The fact that we're even trying to like, because I've been getting more commercials about ground news, and while I like the idea of being aware of the biases of all your news outlets that you get for information, a part of me is also just like, okay, but is there like a way to better fact check these? I actually took a fact check workshop. Talk about workshops. There was a fact checking workshop that Press On did a month or so ago. That was kind of like showing you the step by step of like how can you fact check an article or a news outlet, what resources to look at, what to think about, and it's another way of like adding on to your media literacy to think a little more critically about the stuff that you consume,
I'm
that
writing
I
this down,
think
by
is
the way.
needed. Yeah, absolutely. I can share, well, I need to double check, but I will share some materials if I'm allowed to, or at least connect you with the people that ran it, because it was really useful. And I think is a resource everyone should get access to. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
before I get distracted, actually, that kind of segues in a little bit because the next question I kind of want to shift the topic about responsibilities, right? So when I thought about questions to ask artists for this series, one thing that came back up is something that one of my mentors in college would like drill into our heads about the responsibility of the creative because we're image makers, because we set the vision, because we influence culture through our creative works. There's implications to our choices and what we put out there. And much like how we're criticizing the media and what they put out influences us, like us artists and creatives do the same thing. So my question to you is like, what can be the personal or political implications of what we create? And what do you think is the responsibility of the creative, assuming we have any?
Mm, it's a deep one. When I was reading it first, I thought that was a deep one. And I think it's a deep one again after like all we talked about. Okay,
I try not to waste time with dumb questions, so I'm
I
glad it
know.
was a good one.
No, no, I respect it. Um, personal. Be yourself. I think too many people on this earth feel like they can't be themselves. I mean, sometimes I've felt like that as an adult. I can't be myself. I get it. I respect how you feel. Not everyone else will. I think social media has like made us feel like you have to feel a certain way about everything, especially with like a bunch of opinions clashing each other, clashing with each other. And I will say it as like a hot take. I feel like social media. I feel like people who like have podcasts and like say things and try to phrase them as facts are just hurt people who haven't healed yet. They're like hurt people who are unintentionally hurting people. And I've always felt that way. And I feel like the thing about artists is that you're hurt people, but you're not hurting other people because you're not trying to make it as fact. Like for me, I have to be responsible. My responsibility is if I'm hurt, I will make the thing, but I will not make you be responsible for how you interpret the thing that's on the canvas. Um,
That's interesting. So, like, again, going back to what you were saying, like, feel what I feel, say what I say when I need to say it through that work, through your canvas. But it also sounds like you're not going to hold us, like the viewer, responsible to feel a specific way that you want to feel. Is that
no,
right? Or,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, for
okay,
sure.
okay. I think I follow.
Yeah. I also feel like celebrities, I've well, I think comic book writers a little weird. I feel like there's like an era of like because like comic book writers have like a way of like putting a lot of political intakes into like the characters. Like Iron Man, for example, like Stan Lee like wrote Iron Man as like a Republican. He like wrote him as like a Republican, and eventually this eventually came up in Civil War. Like there's like a comic book called Civil War, where like they were like fighting about like superhero legislation. Little silly, but Iron Man was written as the guy who like was for like superheroes registering into like this system, where like they had to like give up their like secret identities and all that crap. It really does mirror like America now. It doesn't in 2006 because I was like 7, didn't know what a war was. And like at that time, we had more freedom than we do now to say things. So, to be fair, I didn't get it, but now I kind of get it. But I kind of feel like now, like a lot of comic book writers have like a way of like lashing out against fans for it. And I feel like that's like a big thing. Like a lot of celebrities, a lot of entertainers, like if you have a different opinion than what the celebrity does about the art that you're consuming, that's out there for the public, you're wrong. And I feel like a lot of celebrities will tell you that you're wrong, even though you're not. Like interpretation is a real thing. It's a real thing. I don't think a lot of celebrities understand that. I don't think a lot of rappers or a lot of artists understand that. I don't think a lot of people understand. Like, it's okay to be disliked. It's okay to have an opinion that not everyone agrees with. Like, no one's perfect. And I feel like that's like the fun part of free speech. That's the fun part of freedom. That's the fun part of like having these art galleries where like you can like do workshops and like express yourself and just splash anything on the canvas. Everything is free for interpretation. That's what made Jackson Pollock so great. I feel like that's what made Keith Haring so great. That's what made Frida Kahlo so great. They had all these symbols, like whether abstract or realism or surrealism or not, like they just were themselves. And I feel like even though they put some politics in it, Keith and Frida, they didn't expect others to carry the weight to feel like they had to understand what was going on. As long as they loved it, that mattered. You know, like interpretation is a thing, but you don't have to interpret the correct thing sometimes, especially when it comes to art.
I think what comes to mind when you say that is also this friendly reminder that, one's success it's completely independent of what what you say and how you say it. Because to your
Yeah.
point, right? One of the things that make me think about what makes people in positions of power and influence hesitant of what they say is because there's kind of this, I think there's an unsaid association that if you just stick with what's popular, then you're more likely to get more money, more access, more privilege.
Mhm.
Whereas if you go against the grain, there you might risk losing that. And sure, there's always a risk in losing whatever you have access to or whatever privilege. So I can see those that have that can be more hesitant. Um, but also to your point, I think what then helps people be successful or gain access to that is, like you said, be yourself, be your authentic self. And the people that resonate with that are the people that build community with you.
Yeah.
And I'm under the hypothesis that, when you water that, when you take care of those communities that resonate with what's true and authentic to you, that's how you gain like steady success or success.
Yeah.
And even success itself is kind of arbitrary because only you get to define that. But I digress. I digress. Since we're talking about it though, like my last question is more about as as we gain access to things, as we gain a platform, as we gain more privilege just in our creative careers, do you think we're obligated to leverage that in order to advocate for other people or advocate for the changes that we seek? If so, how? And if not, why?
Okay. I gotta put it back to my last question because I don't feel like I answered that enough. Okay. Um, I think my thing is every time I say that word, I think about like an abused person, like abuse, like domestic violence. Cause think about it like this: you're in a house, you're you're married to somebody who eats you like they hate you, but then the next morning, the next day, next minute, even they hug you like they love you. but you're afraid to come out about it because you know how the rest of the world will feel about it. You don't know. That's how I feel about it. Like I feel like we're in a climate where like everybody feels like they have to speak about it. Everybody feels like they have to say something, but not everyone knows how to say it. And I feel like there are some people who really just don't know if they should say it or not. And I feel like the social media push makes it 10 times worse. I feel like the social media push, the media push, I feel like the pressure to like think, believe, and act a certain way and to say a certain thing or how to say it makes people feel like they're obligated, and it forces people to feel like they need to say something without feeling comfortable about it. And that's how I kind of feel about it now. Like so every time I'm like on the internet, it used to be something like fun or like you have this option to say something about it, like come vote. There's nothing wrong with voting. But if you have a certain thing, just leave a comment. We may or may not get back to it. We support all opinions. It's not like that anymore. You know, like every time I look at a YouTube video, the comments are off. Every time I look at like an Instagram of like a popular person, the comments are off. You know, like every time like I even look at like Reddit sometimes, the moderators will turn like the comments off. Even if it's like a Pokemon leak or something, like they'll turn the comments off because I feel like censorship is a real thing, and I feel like although artists are obligated to like express themselves because it's for them first and then for everybody else second. I also feel like if you want to feel obligated, then go ahead. I feel like obligation is a choice sometimes. Like for the artist, it is a choice.
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
I feel like because we have a choice to make like a flower painting or like animal painting or like a dinosaur painting, and then some people go out of the way to make something political. You're making a choice to do that, but you're also taking on the obligation that your voice is more than just something for fun at that point. Because it's to me it's political at that point. When you're getting into politics, you're getting into like how the country is going to be shaped in like the next few years. That's why like when I
I think I
that's
get it. Because so it sounds like what you're saying, the obligation that's sort of a granted is that the artist is always obligated to express, is always obligated to create. That's just the very nature of us as creative people, right?
yeah
And so the part that you're saying is the choice is in that sort of obligatory expression or act. You can
yeah
choose what that is about, right? I
yeah
just want to make sure I'm understanding.
yeah. It's not a job. Like I feel
Okay.
like an artist's job is to be themselves. I feel like if you take on any more pressure, like you're obligating yourself to like taking the criticism for it and taking the praise for it. It's like um there's a TV show I watched titled The Boys. It's on Amazon. It's
Yeah.
with Anthony Starr. He's Homelander. Like he's a huge guy. He kills everybody. He's like crazy. He's supposed to be like evil Superman, but I've always seen him as like more than evil Superman. He's very intimidating. He's like the only villain I'm really scared of, like ever. And like he barely like yells at people. He just like does like grins and then like lasers people. It's intimidating stuff, especially since like he mirrors Donald Trump now more than ever. And I don't think hot take. I don't think as much as the writers like intended to be like a little mirror of Donald Trump. I think like the time we live in now, it's eerie. It's so eerie. You know what I mean? That's
I
like a take for
believe it.
later. But then there's like a character named Starlight in there. Like she rebels against the Seven and does all this stuff. Like she could have like went away one and like probably killed like this other character named the Deep who like assaulted her and like went on with her business. But like she like rebels with like the boys instead, and she like does this whole rebellion and tries to go to the extreme with it. And that's how I feel like some artists do with it. And I think a lot of artists, to me, they will go the extra mile. Like I feel like for me, I won't go the extra mile because I know, you know, I wouldn't be able to handle the obligation. Um, I feel like I joined this interview because I'm able to handle a conversation, but I'm not. I feel like as a person, I feel like I would lose it if I would was obligated or if I was like feeling like I was forced to say something, because I feel like my voice would carry a lot more weight than that of expression. I feel like it would carry the weight of how it would affect other people. And I feel like a lot of artists like carry that weight. And I feel like a lot of artists, when they talk about politics and stuff in their work, I respect it, but I also think, damn, how are you gonna feel like a few years later, like if you feel like something happens, and then like something major happened, and then like some people are affected? Would you feel obligated to change your work for it? Would you feel obligated um, to change how you approach it because what you think and your values and how like it changed the country to an extent, a little bit to an extent,
Yeah, of
um,
course.
affected some people? You know, I feel like a lot of entertainment, a lot of artists who like voted for Trump, that changed a lot. You know, because Kamala was also like working with celebrities, and so was Trump, and they both thought that the celebrities that we listen to every day, like their music, was what was going to get them on their side, and it really wasn't. It was just really Trump was like really honest about a lot of things. Um, and that's because like we had him for the first term and he was honest about it, even though it was really bad stuff. But like he was honest about it. And that's kind of like the same
Yeah.
here. And I feel like we've had a history of like Democrats lying about it, lying about their stuff. And then we have like this bad guy who's at least honest. It's kind of like a bully. Like you have like two bullies. One that'll lie to you about giving you food because you bought him food one day and like he keeps lying to you. And then you have another bully who just punches you in the face and just says, "Give me your lunch money. I won't take your food." That's kind of how
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, it sounds like kind of like the bully versus the fake friend. Which one would you rather deal with? And it sounds
Yeah.
like as a nation, we decided to vote for the bully that will punch you in the face versus the fake friend.
Yeah.
And to your point, I've heard similar arguments about both parties and both candidates of like, sure, one is terrible, but he seems honest, straightforward, where the other seems duplicitous is kind of some of the general critiques. And I'm generalizing very loosely about that. And I don't know, I think this goes back to what you were saying, right? About being your authentic self, about artists really working from a place of truth within themselves, painting and expressing of what is on their mind, while also acknowledging the choices of what you have to make, but we are obligated to make and state something. And going back to this idea of community, right? This parallel between, I'm really still fascinated about this idea of these parallels between pleasure and survival. Like, I think we started this conversation. Seriously, I think that's fascinating because it's like that. I never really thought about community or art, expressing art in those two ways like that. So I'm very intrigued. In I mean, obviously there's intersections, right? We have community because there's strength in numbers and survival in numbers, but then there's also pleasure in that. So I don't know. I have to process that a little bit more. I think you gave me a perspective shift. So thank you for that.
Sometimes what I do, um, I usually sometimes I started doing it a while ago. Um, I sit in traffic on a red light. Okay, I'm not like those one of those crazy drivers that drives on their phone while it's green. A lot of people do that now.
I know.
And then and I take a picture of like where I'm driving. Like I take pictures of like myself in Greensboro driving and doing that. It makes me feel like a mix of survival, and it makes me feel like a mix of like survival and then pleasure to it. Cause like I'm living in the moment. And I feel like that's one thing that I miss with like illustration. I'm not living in the moment. I'm living in like the survival, with a little bit of pleasure, but I'm living more in the survival. I feel like when I take like my phone and like take pictures and then like I edit them to make them look, fancy. I feel like I'm living in the moment while also surviving. Um, and I feel like that's kind of like the why I appreciate photography a little bit because you're living in the moment. Um, there's like a photographer. He's like African American. I believe his name's Derek. He does like a mixture of black and white photography. And for a while, he did like a series online called Social Media. Um, it's supposed to be fun. Stop hiding your pictures. And like he started posting like random pictures, some political, some not political, some just moments of him and his friends. And I felt the moment, even if I wasn't there. I felt the moment, and I feel like For me, one of the things that is missing now because there's so much stress because of how poor the economy is, or how dictatorship our president acts, or like how we've lost like all the rights in the world, like women's rights, like abortion laws and all that stuff. Every time we have something to celebrate, we don't live in that moment no more. We don't like take pictures no more like that. We don't celebrate them. We don't cheer for it as much as we used to. Or like every time like there's like a milestone, um, we don't celebrate it as much. I feel like because we don't view them as like moving to where we once were, or moving up in terms of like global economy. I feel like there are times where like you can just celebrate just to celebrate. You know, not everything has to be like a goal reaching milestone. Sometimes celebrating just because you want to celebrate because you yourself felt like you earned something. That means a lot.
Yeah, it reminds me of this scene from have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
I've heard of it.
I
That's an
recommend
anime,
it.
right?
No, it's a live action. But it's fun. It has Scarlett Johansson in it. It has Black Widow in it. She plays this character named Rosie, and there's a scene where she's dancing to her son,
Writing
and
it.
she's saying, yeah, and her son's like, "Why do you dance?" And she's like, "We dance to show God that we're grateful for being alive." And that scene kind of, I may be misquoting, but that scene stuck with me because to your point, yeah, I don't think we really party just to be partying like that. There usually is something related, and maybe there is something powerful in that to just experience joy just to be experiencing the joy.
Shameless is like that too.
Shameless?
Yes, like U.S. Shameless with Emily Rossum. I've watched all the seasons except for 11.
I will have to see that because I've heard of Shameless and I've never watched it.
It's so good.
Okay, I'll try it. I'll try it. I'll try
There's like
it.
a scene. No, there's a scene. I think Carl comes home. No, they're all partying. It's like when Lip is like kicked out of college. Um, I think they were celebrating because the family was all together, and Frank and Monica, like their absent mother, like got back together, and they have like for once all celebrated. It was like the end of the episode. They were all like dancing in the middle of the episode. Even the kid was dancing, and like Fiona was dancing. It reminds me of what used to happen every time like we used to have like a celebration, like a work celebration. Now we don't have as much because we're worried about the economy so much. You know, like with every like win, there's also a bummer that comes in the end. It's like everything's like a double-edged sword. It's never used to be like um years ago when you can like celebrate without repercussion. And I don't think that's because like we're growing older. I think it's just because like the system. And I feel like now we have a chance to really fight against that system and then like build something new of it instead of like revolting back to the way it was.
Interesting. I find that very insightful. Then I'll have to check it out. Um, the only thing I can think about at this point, and again, thank you so much for this.
I
You
tried.
know, the no, I listen, we're all trying. We are all trying. Lord knows we need to try a little harder. Um, I but the big takeaways I get from this conversation, which I'm very grateful for, is this real focus on authenticity, not just to yourself, but to those around you and through your work. To express, like, have better discernment over expressing for pleasure versus expressing for survival, but also trying to see your community and seeing what are we doing out of pleasure and what are we doing out of survival, because that may also hold clues. And I also see this importance about really being able to create these fun and genuinely authentic ways for people to just celebrate life and connect while also taking away, sometimes tangibly taking something away that carries the message that you're trying to communicate.
I
I
felt that.
appreciate, yeah, I appreciate that. So I think
Thank
those
you
are some
for
of the good
having me.
takeaways. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, I don't know. I think about I try not to rush. I kind of feel like Quicksilver a lot because he rushes a lot. I feel like this year because like there's so much shit happening with the economy. There's so much happening
That
with
part.
like the rest of the world. There's not enough this, there's not enough that. You know, you have these media outlets talk about like there's not as much social interaction no more. There's not enough this anymore. Um, and I feel like it's a bad
Right.
reflection of the real world because there's a lot of peace out there. There's a lot of beautiful things out there that people don't see, that people don't talk about. Um, like there's a lot of like beautiful friendships. There's a lot of friends getting married. There's a lot of friends getting new jobs. There's a lot of friends getting new careers and moving and like doing better things. I mean, I got a new job. You know, like my friend moved to a different, you know, state and is like living her life. You know, like there's like real beauty in things that like the media does not share. Like there's real things that like the media doesn't make authentically real enough. You know, like there's things that like, the media can't really tell us. You know, and I think that's what artists are for. Artists are for sharing what like mainstream media won't tell you. They're for telling the truth.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Myles.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And maybe we do some cool stuff together soon.
Thank you so much for watching. That was such a fun conversation. Before we go, I want to update you on a few things. First of all, JTR Presents just launched an artist resource map. This map is intended to centralize information regarding the resources. That can be equipment, venue spaces, exhibition spaces, residency programs, or other funding for artists to continue their creative practice and for our voices to still be heard and our stories to still be told. Secondly, there are other resources relating to voting. Your representation and your voice does matter, especially in the upcoming elections. You can find more information somewhere around this video. It's probably at the bottom in the description, but please, please, please get out and vote and make sure you're represented. Third, please donate to your local artist organizations or any art organizations that resonate with you. A lot of times us artists and creatives rely on organizations like the National Endowment of the Arts or our regional or art council that often offer funding for our programs or funding for programs for other organizations or offer funding for us artists to continue our work through residencies or just giving us the money directly. So donate to those institutions so they can continue to empower us to do the work that we're doing. And then lastly, I just want to let you know that your life, your voice, and your money matter, and they make a big difference, even if it's something small. Thank you again. Hope to see you soon. Take care.